Hello and welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to help you, especially if you're navigating the huge amount of information for the UPSC exams.
Exactly. There's so much out there. We try to cut through the noise and give you the key takeaways.
Today is May 6th, 2025, and we're looking back at the current affairs from yesterday, May 5th. This is part 1.
And, some of these topics might be brand new for you, while others might be things we've touched on before.
Right, so think of it as useful revision, too, helping things stick.
We've got quite a mix today. Science, tech, geography, history, IR, the kind of interdisciplinary stuff that's really vital for UPSC.
Our goal is to keep it concise but thorough, get you the key facts and why they matter.
So if you find this helpful, do consider liking and subscribing for more.
Okay, let's dive in. First up, we're heading out into the galaxy. Something about a galactic bone called G359.
Yeah, pulsar G359. It's about a discovery of a sort of fracture in this long structure they've nicknamed the snake.
The snake. Okay, what is G359.13, scientifically speaking?
It's a long, bright filament in our Milky Way, a non-thermal one, mainly seen in radio waves. Think of these galactic bones as elongated structures.
Lined with magnetic fields, right?
Exactly. And they glow because of synchrotron radiation, charged particles spiraling around magnetic field lines.
So what caused this fracture, this break in the structure?
Well, the evidence points pretty strongly to a fast-moving pulsar. They found it right at the fracture location using both the Chandra X-ray Observatory and the MeerKAT radio array.
And a pulsar is, remind us quickly.
It's a highly magnetized spinning neutron star. Basically, the super-dense corpse left after a massive star goes supernova.
And this one's moving incredibly fast.
Oh, yeah. Estimates are around 1 to 2 million miles per hour. Just incredibly fast.
Wow. So the idea is this speeding pulsar just collided with the filament.
Pretty much, yeah. The collision seems to have distorted the filament's magnetic field, which messed with the radio signal we detect, and physically fractured the structure itself.
And the Chandra X-ray data added more pieces to the puzzle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Chandra saw this blue-colored emission, likely the pulsar itself. Plus, there were other nearby X-ray sources.
What were those?
They could be from electrons and positrons antimatter, actually getting accelerated to really high energies during this whole interaction.
No, this whole event gives us a window into some pretty extreme astrophysics.
Definitely. It helps us understand how pulsars interact with these large magnetic structures in the galaxy, these high-energy processes. It's relevant for understanding the universe's mechanics, which pops up in science and tech for UPSC.
And Chandra itself, it's a major NASA telescope, right?
That's right. Launched in '99, part of the Great Observatories program. It operates in a high orbit, giving it fantastic resolution and sensitivity for X-ray astronomy.
Okay, fascinating stuff. Let's bring it back down to Earth now, an underwater volcano.
Yeah, shifting gears to Earth science. Axial Seamount. It's apparently on high alert for its first eruption in about a decade.
Where is this Axial Seamount located?
It's underwater, about 300 miles off the coast of Oregon, USA, out in the Pacific Ocean.
And what kind of volcano is it?
It's a shield volcano, known for its broad shape, and it has a large caldera at the top. Its peak is about 1,400 meters below sea level.
How did it form there?
It's sitting over a hot spot, basically a plume of extra hot mantle rising up, and it's located on the Juan de Fuca Ridge, which is the boundary between the Pacific and Juan de Fuca tectonic plates. Classic plate tectonics in action key geography concept.
I imagine the life around an active underwater volcano must be pretty unique.
Oh, absolutely. It supports these incredible hydrothermal vent ecosystems. You have superheated mineral-rich water gushing out.
Supporting life without sunlight.
Exactly. Chemosynthetic microbes form the base of the food web using chemicals from the vents. And then you get tube worms, crabs, clams, fish, even octopuses living off that. It's an amazing example of life in extreme environments.
And it's known to be quite active.
It's the most active submarine volcano in the Northeast Pacific. It erupted back in 1998, 2011, and 2015.
So monitoring it must be important.
Very. It's actually part of the Ocean Observatories Initiative, the OOI, and hosts the NEMO Underwater Observatory for real-time monitoring. Scientists learn a lot from these eruptions, even though they aren't dangerous to people on land.
Right. Okay, from underwater volcanoes, let's move to international relations and geography. Japan. There was a recent meeting between the Indian and Japanese defense ministers.
Yes, important bilateral engagement. So, quick facts on Japan for our UPSC listeners. Capital is Tokyo, of course. Language is Japanese. Currency, the yen.
And the government.
It's a parliamentary system under constitutional monarchy.
Geographically, it's an island nation.
Correct. An archipelago in East Asia, northwestern Pacific. Stretches to about 1,500 miles. The main islands everyone knows are Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, and Kyushu, north to south.
Does it have any land borders?
No land borders. It's surrounded by sea. The Pacific to the east, Sea of Okhotsk north, Sea of Japan, or East Sea to the west, and the East China Sea southwest. Maritime boundaries are key for Japan.
What's the terrain like?
Overwhelmingly mountainous. More than 80% is mountains, so quite rugged, and its location is critical.
The Pacific Ring of Fire.
Exactly. Highly prone to earthquakes and volcanoes. Mount Fuji, the iconic stratovolcano, is its highest peak and a national symbol.
Any other major features?
You have the Japanese Alps as a major range, and significant rivers like the Shinano, Tone, and Kiso.
Climate.
Varies quite a bit, from subarctic in the north to humid subtropical further south. And yes, frequent natural disasters are a reality there. Quakes, tsunamis, eruptions.
And circling back to the India connection.
Japan's a huge player in India's infrastructure development via GI, the Japan International Cooperation Agency. Think smart cities, transport projects, and strategically, the India-Japan 2+2 dialogue involving foreign and defense ministers is really important for cooperation in the Indo-Pacific.
Okay, good overview. Now let's shift to India's infrastructure and water resources. News about the Baglihar Dam on the Chenab River.
Yes, reports that India stopped water flow temporarily towards Pakistan.
Yeah.
This brings us to the dam itself, the Baglihar Hydroelectric Power Project.
Where is it located?
It's on the Chenab River in the Doda district of Jammu and Kashmir. It's a run-of-the-river project.
Run-of-the-river meaning?
Meaning it primarily uses the river's natural flow to generate power rather than storing massive amounts of water in a large reservoir. This design choice has implications, for power consistency and environmental impact.
Can you describe the dam itself?
It's a concrete gravity dam, 144.5 meters high and 363 meters long. It does have a reservoir, but smaller, about 475 million cubic meters, and a large underground powerhouse.
When was it built?
Planning started way back in 1992, got approval in 96. Construction began in 1999. It was done in 2 stages, 450 milliW each, completed in 2004 and 2008. So 900 milliW total capacity.
Let's talk about the Chenab River itself. It's crucial for both India and Pakistan.
Absolutely. The name means Moon River. It's a major tributary of the Indus. Its origin is fascinating, the confluence of the Chandra and Bhaga rivers in Himachal Pradesh.
Where it's called Chandrabhaga.
In the upper reaches, yes. Then it flows west through Jammu and Kashmir, enters Pakistan, joins the Jhelum, and eventually flows into the Sutlej. It's about 974 kilometers long and vital for irrigation.
And importantly, its waters are shared under treaty.
Correct. The Indus Water Treaty governs how India and Pakistan share the waters of the Chenab, along with other rivers in the Indus system. That's always a key point in India-Pakistan relations.
Okay, moving on to history and culture. Repairs starting at Safa Masjid in Goa.
Yes, the Archaeological Survey of India, the ASI, is repairing the damaged mihrab, that's the prayer niche at Safa Masjid in Ponda, Goa.
Tell us about its historical context.
It's quite significant. Built around 1560 by Sultan Adil Shah of Bijapur. That's before the main Portuguese consolidation of power.
So it survived the Portuguese era.
It's one of the few Islamic structures from that period that did survive in Goa, which makes it historically valuable. It's now a protected national monument under the ASI.
What's its architectural style like?
It's described as Indo-Islamic. Pretty simple, a rectangular prayer hall with a terracotta tile roof, which you see a lot in Goa. It's noted for its simplicity, minimal decoration. Interestingly, no inscriptions survive to give exact details.
Then there's a water tank nearby.
Yes, an adjacent tank or hose with some intricate masonry work. It was likely part of a larger water system. There's also a garden laid out in something resembling the charbagh style. It's a unique piece of Goan history.
Right, back to science now. A new mosquito species discovered.
Yes, this is potentially quite important for public health. They found a new species called the Pwani molecular form in coastal Tanzania and Kenya.
And it's related to known malaria carriers.
It is. It's part of the Anopheles gambiae complex, which includes some of the world's most effective malaria vectors.
What makes this Pwani form different?
Genetically, it's quite distinct from the other members of the complex. This suggests it might have unique adaptations, maybe different behavior or ecological needs, and it seems restricted just to that coastal East African region.
And the worrying part is about insecticide resistance.
That's the main concern, yes. It seems to lack the common genetic markers for resistance to the insecticides we normally use.
Which could mean?
It could mean 2 things, really. Either it has a completely new resistance mechanism we don't know about yet, or maybe just maybe, it's actually susceptible to current insecticides.
But the uncertainty is the problem.
Exactly. Current malaria control heavily relies on insecticides, bed nets, spraying. If this new vector behaves differently regarding resistance, our strategies might need adjusting. Needs urgent study.
Staying with science, but shifting to geology. A new way to monitor volcanoes using shear-wave splitting.
This comes from researchers at Oxford studying Mount Ontake in Japan.
Okay, break down shear-wave splitting for us.
All right. So when seismic waves, specifically shear waves from quakes or volcanic tremors, travel through rock that has lined cracks or fractures.
Like stress lines.
Sort of, yes. Anisotropy. The shear wave splits into two waves. These two waves travel at slightly different speeds, and their vibration directions, their polarization, are perpendicular.
How does that help predict eruptions?
Well, as magma or fluids move underground in a volcano, it changes the stress on the surrounding rock. This opens or closes cracks, changes their alignment.
Affecting the shear waves?
Precisely. It changes the speed difference and the polarization direction of those split waves. So if you monitor this splitting, an increase in the splitting can indicate rising pressure inside the volcano, a potential early warning.
And Mount Ontake was the test site.
Yes, an active stratovolcano in Japan. Sadly, it had that deadly steam-driven or phreatic eruption in 2014 with very little warning from traditional seismic signals.
Phreatic eruptions are harder to predict.
Much harder, typically. They're driven by superheated groundwater flashing to steam, not necessarily fresh magma rising. So this shear-wave splitting method might offer a new tool, especially for those tricky phreatic events.
Interesting potential. Okay, topic 8. Defense and security. India receiving more Igla-S missiles from Russia.
That's the report, yes. Yeah. A fresh shipment of these Igla-S systems.
What exactly is an Igla-S?
It's a man-pads-man portable air defense system. Russian-made. It's basically a shoulder-fired missile system.
For use by individual soldiers or small teams?
Right. Designed to target low-flying threats like aircraft, helicopters, cruise missiles, and increasingly drones.
What are its key features?
Main components are the missile itself, 9M342, the launcher, 9P522, and some testing equipment. It's lightweight for mobility missile, around 11 kilograms, whole system, about 18 kilograms, compact. Uses infrared homing guidance, tracks heat signatures.
What's its range and altitude capability?
It can engage targets up to 6 kilometers away and up to an altitude of about 3.5 kilometers. Missile speed is around 400 meters per second, and it's quick to deploy, about 13 seconds.
Okay. Now let's look at Indian governance and rural development. The SVAMITVA scheme was highlighted at a World Bank conference.
Yes, a SVAMITVA. That stands for Survey of Villages and Mapping with Improvised Technology in Village Areas. It's a central sector scheme launched in 2020.
And its main goal?
Fundamentally, it aims to give rural people clear, documented property rights for their residential properties, the abadi areas of villages.
How does it actually do that?
It uses drone technology to survey and map these village land parcels across the country. It's being rolled out in phases.
What are the intended benefits, the objectives?
Several key ones. First, financial stability people can use their property, the property card, as collateral for loans. Second, creating accurate land records for better rural planning.
Wow.
Third, it helps determine property tax for gram panchayats, potentially boosting their revenue where applicable. Fourth, it creates survey infrastructure and GIS maps useful for many departments. Fifth, better data for gram panchayat development plans, GPDPs. And finally, reducing property disputes, which are very common in rural areas without clear records.
Who's in charge of implementing it?
The nodal ministry is the Ministry of Panchayati Raj. State revenue or land records departments handle it at the state level, and the Survey of India is the main technology partner.
Okay, brings us to our final topic, archaeology. The oldest known spear tip in Europe, made by Neanderthals.
Yeah, a really exciting find from Russia.
Where exactly was it found?
In a cave in the North Caucasus region. Found in a sediment layer along with animal bones, evidence of campfires, clear signs of ancient occupation.
And this has been properly studied and published?
Yes, findings are in the Journal of Archaeological Science. They use techniques like spectroscopy, CT scans, microscopy to really analyze the artifact, which was actually dug up some years ago.
What's the spear tip like?
It's made of bone, probably bison bone, about 9 centimeters long. Analysis shows it was shaped carefully with stone tools. There's evidence it was attached to a wooden shaft using natural tar.
And signs of use?
Yes, microcracks indicating impact against something hard strongly suggests it was used as a weapon, likely for hunting.
And the crucial part, the age. How old is it?
Dated to between 70,000 and 80,000 years old,
Which means?
which means it predates the arrival of modern humans, Homo sapiens, in that part of Europe. This confirms it was made by Neanderthals.
Can you give us a quick refresher on Neanderthals?
Sure. They were an archaic human species, closely related to us, lived across Europe, Central Asia, the Middle East, diverged from our lineage maybe 500,000 years ago, died out around 40,000 years ago. We know modern non-African humans carry some Neanderthal DNA, meaning there was interbreeding.
What were they like?
Physically robust, adapted for cold climates, distinctive skulls, but brain size comparable to ours. They were skilled hunters, made sophisticated tools, controlled fire, likely wore clothing, built shelters. And there's growing evidence for symbolic behavior too, ornaments, burials. This spear tip adds to the picture of them being highly capable. And that wraps up our topics for this deep dive, covering May 5th, Part 1.
Indeed. A real journey today, from galactic collisions and deep-sea vents to geopolitical meetings, ancient history, and modern governance schemes. We hope this has given you, our UPSC-focused listeners, some valuable insights and connections.
Yeah, the aim is always to get beyond just the headlines. Look at the context, the significance for your preparation.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. We talked about dating that Neanderthal spear tip, figuring out it's 70, 80,000 years old, incredible precision looking back. And we also talked about the SVAMITVA scheme using cutting-edge drones for mapping property lines today.
Two ends of the spectrum in a way.
Right. How does our ability to understand the deep past, like Neanderthal tool-making, connect with our present-day drive to use technology like drones to organize our world, like defining property rights? Something to think about, how understanding then informs what we do now.
Good question. Keep exploring those connections. Keep thinking critically.
Absolutely. And if this deep dive helped you connect some dots for your UPSC journey, please do give us a like and make sure you subscribe to stay updated with our future analyses.